I die.
That's right, folks. Yeah, can't scare me. I'm sticking to the union. That's right. Absolutely, we are. And it was the unions that really came through this past week. It was the unions that organized a mass counter rally. Unfortunately, in some places, it wasn't enough. A mass counter rally against last week's Million March for Children. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. It is Friday, September 29th, 2023. It's one of the last days of September. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. It really helps the channel out a lot. It helps me out, although I'm sorry I have not been able to stream as much. I have been extraordinarily busy. Every single night for the past 2 weeks has been something going on. Whether it's organizing, whether it's fighting back against Nazis, whether it's just keeping up with education and reading groups. And if you're not in a reading group, please get one. If you are interested in a reading group and you are a Marxist and you're in Canada and you generally agree with the politics of this channel, please let me know. I can get you hooked up with a reading group. V from TO, systemic anti-communist historical revisionism and rampant generational Nazi apologia led to honoring an SS member in the House of Commons. Yes, we will absolutely get into that. The two go hand in hand, honestly. We really have this international stereotype and portrayal of Canada being a very nice, polite, wonderful place, when in reality, it is anything but. And in fact, it has been that stereotype. It's been that liberalism that, what am I doing here? That enables fascism, you know what I mean? So yeah, we're going to talk a lot about that today. I was going to do a report back as soon as I got home. I was too damn tired and honestly really demoralized from last Wednesday's protest. We definitely got our asses kicked. We were outnumbered about 3-1. And I had some members of my own union on the other side calling me a pedophile and a groomer and a demon. We'll get into all that. Trans protest. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So, it was a massive Canadian-wide, coast to coast, 77 Canadian cities in total saw a massive turnout. The parents pulled their kids from schools against teaching so-called gender ideology in schools. Now they hide behind things like parental rights. They hide behind things like Islamophobia. If you don't agree, you're Islamophobic because half the crowd screaming at us were Muslims. Very weird. I never thought I'd see the day where Muslims and the far right ally against an even more marginalized community, but here we are. Man, I lose energy just thinking about it. So we're going to have to process this. We're going to go through it. I think the far right will use any ally they can get, any opportunity, even if it means temporarily allying with, Muslims, even though they themselves are a marginalized community in Canada. We just spent the last 2 decades of Muslims being demonized, and the LGBT community were one of the very few communities that came through and stood up for them. And it was just so goddamn heartbreaking to see this. Anyway, we'll definitely get into that. I hope everyone had a nice couple weeks. Sorry, I've just been too damn busy, and the weather's been nice, so I've been working full time. You can probably see my sunglasses tan. I stopped putting sunscreen on. I put in about 50 hours this week. Yaroslav Hunka, thank you for the follow. I think I can guess who that is. Um, yeah, it was unbelievable. Truly, genuinely shocking and heartbreaking. Um, One of the things that I am vowed to go forward with is being an unapologetic ally of our trans comrades. Let me see. So, you may recognize this fella. I'll just come out and say it. Nazis have already tried to dox me on Twitter. But if you're in the Hamilton rally and you saw this guy, you're looking at him right here. This was me. Workers of the world unite against hate. It's a call to action, and it's also a massive hint to anyone in the crowd.
Because I'm a perfect physical specimen and I'm extremely young.
Thanks. Yeah, I was probably the tallest dude in the crowd, hiding my face. Well, I guess this is not hidden anymore, but yeah, that was me. I made that out of duct tape. And in my left hand there, I'm holding a speaker. No, I didn't promote the stream. I didn't really promote anything. I was there to stand in solidarity. It just felt like, if I was part of like a different org, like most trot orgs, if they had showed up to this, they would have just brought a table with some papers to try and wave around and sell. And this is not the place for that. No, I was not selling papers. This is not the place to be selling papers. Bad trot, I know. No, this was the place where we had thousands. So there's probably about 1,000 of us, and we had about 3,000 or 4,000 people surrounding us, and very little police presence. And so the crowds just converged. Okay, so let's back up. Wednesday, they were calling for a mass protest against the district school board. So again, this is an attack on teachers and teachers unions, right? So always think about like what is actually going on in this. It's an attack on teachers unions. It's a justification and excuse to privatize the entire education sector. It's putting teachers unions and public unions on the back foot. I've seen people post things like, public unions should be illegal, a lot of hate towards unions. And so labor really stepped up. Every district labor council in the country came forward and be like, no, we stand with our teachers. We stand with our unions. And so unions have to come together and stand with our most marginalized people. In this case, it was trans youth. And, there's some horrible statistics about trans youth right now. 4 out of 10 attempt suicide. What's up, comrades, scientists, fellow intellectual scholars? We out here. That's right. Papers are for chickens. I don't know, I suppose. If you have a large enough group, you can have like a contingency who's willing to put themselves between the protesters and counter protesters to protect our trans youths, and you can have a contingency who doesn't want to do that, who could maybe, I don't know, hand out water bottles or something, and then strike up. So this sign was a conversation starter. I wasn't there to sell papers or recruit people, but I did have I had a mailing list sign up sheet on my phone for anyone who recognized these words and wanted to get involved, which I did. I got like 2 or 3 people out of it. So that was good. So, be sure to look for me next time. Okay, so let's, incredibly frustrating to see queer people being pick-me's to earn brownie points as right-wing ghouls. Lots of shit on Twitter about separating the LGB from the T. Like, come on, like, you fuckers, like, really? It's so fucking frustrating. Like you're next. Like, if the right wing wins, you are next. It's insane. It is insane how much we've lost our goddamn minds. Press Progress put out a really good report about who is actually behind this thing. Anti-LGBTQ plus Million Man marches are being held across Canada. Who is behind them and what are they really about? Everything you need to know about the 1 Million March for Children to stop the indoctrination of children in public schools is what it's about. And so it's again, they hide behind bullshit like, oh, this is about women, this is about parents' rights, and this is about indoctrination, and we don't want teachers to be giving our kids hormones and castrating them for when they start to, play pretend and putting dresses on boys. Like, what? No, like, do you really think teachers are doing this shit? Teachers all over across Canada are like, if I could indoctrinate your kids, I would indoctrinate them to turn off their phone and put on deodorant. Anti-LGBTQ Million Man March is being planned across Canada, but who is behind these events and what are they really about? Organizers are rallying supporters behind vague slogans and careful talking points about protecting children and parental rights. Many organizers and groups behind the marches have well-documented track records opposing 2S. So 2S stands for Two-Spirit. Not sure if everyone was aware of that. It refers to Indigenous queer folks, LGBTQIA plus rights, protesting vaccines and public health orders, or subscribing to a wide range of far-right conspiratorial narratives. Here's everything you need to know about the 1 Million March for Children. The 1 Million March for Children emerged following a rally led by a Christian nationalist youth group. Oh, there we go. And an anti-trans activist targeting 3 Ottawa area schools in June that saw hundreds of people crowding into quiet residential streets. The rally itself built atop months of protests targeting drag story time. Again, so that's where it starts. It started off with, trans athletes, and then it went into, and then got melded in with drag story time. And then now everyone's brains are melting out of their ears talking about the children. We have to stop indoctrinating children. The idea of a Million Man March emerged at the same time as plans were being kicked around about staging a Save the Children convoy to Toronto. As still appears stuck in a consultation and planning phase, protesting a wide range of far-right conspiracies revolving around pedophilia in schools. I have no doubt that the fucking stupid-ass Sound of Freedom bullshit movie probably had a lot to do with this as well, because I saw a lot of signs referencing Sound of Freedom out there. Organizers claim their marches are not against LGBTQIA rights, yet these are heavily qualified and carefully worded denials appear contradicted by other statements. Our primary concern is indoctrination of children in public schools, the group says on its website. This movement is mainly focused on protection of children against LGBTQIA ideology in school system and not to fight back against the LGBTQ community. A closer look at the main organizers show many of histories of making openly homophobic statements and enforcing rigid, hardline ideas about sexuality and gender. So who are the main organizers? Okay, so let's get an idea of who's actually behind this shit. The main groups involved in organizing and planning are linked to hardline social conservative groups and other groups linked to the Freedom Convoy. So that's why I said, the fucking morons. The people who have plenty of time to book time off and go and honk their horns in downtown Ottawa and get drunk and play ice hockey for 3 weeks at a time. What class of people has time to do this who own trucks, right? Owner-operators, the petty bourgeoisie. The roots of fascism. Literally inventing things to get angry about. I saw one woman crying crocodile tears when claiming little boys were being given dildos in schools. Yeah, that's like what are you talking about? Man, boys with dildos, that new boy band insert. Isn't it? Yeah. They want to destroy public education. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. They want to destroy public education and they want to gut teachers' unions. That's what this whole thing's about. They've lost all grip on reality. It's Chapo Trap House has referred to this as the feralification of society. People are just becoming feral. They're in their own world. Same thing with the cat litter lie that was going around. I actually saw someone had a cat litter sign. They had a sign that said, a cat is teaching our children, ? Like, what? I'm like, what is that sign about? And someone's like, oh, it's something to do with litter boxes, and they think kids are identifying as cats. I'm like, oh. And then I said to the guy, do you know what the litter boxes are actually about? And he's like, no, where does the litter box thing come from? It's an American thing where there are buckets with first aid kits in them and kitty litter for when schools are locked down for hours at a time, when they're being shot up by deranged lunatics, and then the cops show up and stand around for an hour staring at their phones. That's what the kitty litter is for, is to use the bathroom. And he's like, oh, that's so much worse than I thought. It's like, yeah, I know. Kid, they would, they want to protect their kids by sending them to school in bulletproof backpacks. But hey, no, it's the trans community. Trans people make up 0.33% of Canada's population. But yeah, they're the fucking danger. Destroying healthcare and education is exactly the point. Yes, the cruelty is the point. According to information compiled by Community Solidarity Ottawa, many organizers have made homophobic, anti-LGBTQ statements and have connections with the extreme far right. Many admins of the official 1 Million March for Freedom Facebook group are linked to a group called Hands Off Our Children, which lists a group of socially conservative Muslim activists and a contributor to an American right-wing website as spokespersons. Kamal Al-Sheikh, Dr. Bahira Abdul Salam, Mahmoud Mora, and David Creighton. The group's leaders have been busy this summer. Sheikh, I want to say Sheikh, who has a history of staging anti-LGBTQ plus protests in Ottawa school board meetings, was an outspoken critic of lockdowns and masks. Gee, there's a shock. More recently, Al-Sheikh was involved in a rally targeting Ottawa area schools in June. Al-Sheikh is prolific on social media, repeatedly posting homophobic and misogynistic content. Again, okay, women, you really think that the far right is going to spare you when they finally ban trans women from bathrooms and they ban trans women from public life? There have already been cis women who are being targeted and harassed for using their own washrooms. It's so fucking, it's insane. It's how much clearer can it be? These people are not your friends. Al-Sheikh has posted statements advocating for straight rights. Oh, right, because, straight people are oppressed. And straight pride on his Twitter account was banned for hateful conduct in July. Expect a 1 million person march in September and maybe school walkouts across the country. Straight pride is born. Why are we celebrating pride? Why not straight orientation too? I see straight sex, the oppressed sex of today. Many women want a man, an alpha male, and you, the laugh reacts, and you are the foundations of society, and most you will get one. Some struggling women are still single because they seek to make him a beta. Alpha male sense that's why you don't have one. Can I get a beta? Can I get a beta in the chat? Hey, Giordano. Beta! Oh my god, it's such a long day. It was so hot. Another spokesperson, Mora, has organized anti-LGBTQ events around Calgary and is recently charged with hate-motivated criminal harassment. Mora made headlines earlier this summer after appearing at an event with a conservative MP. Abdul Salam has promoted the Million Man Marches by making appearances on far-right convoy adjacent live streams and podcasts. Earlier this month, Abdul Salam posted a statement on behalf of Hands Off Our Kids and that claimed this is a movement for the children and straight families. So again, it's not about, it's never about it's literally just about erasing trans kids and gay kids. That's been their agenda since the beginning. Creighton, on the other hand, is a conservative media personality who currently contributes to the Western Standard in the Post-Millennial. Creighton previously served as Ottawa bureau chief for the Daily Caller, a American right-wing website. Oh, okay. So there's the connection then to, because this bullshit really, we're more than capable of developing our own insanity, but it seems like we get a lot of our bullshit that just gets imported from the States. August 1st, Creighton published a story labeled News, in quotes, for the Post-Millennial announcing plans for a 1 million-person march against LGBTQ indoctrination in schools, though the story did not disclose that the author also acts as a spokesperson for the group. Creighton did not respond to multiple requests for comment from Press Progress. Yeah, it's always like they have a huge problem with Trudeau because he doesn't want to openly exterminate gay people, I guess. During the early stages of planning the marches, Hands On for Children co-promoted the events alongside the Christian nationalist group, youth group, Save Canada. Ew, that's creepy. Here's the thing that also just occurred to me is I know a lot of us, and again, maybe this is part of that class divide that tricks that we fall into, where we're like, a lot of us were like, we just have to wait for the baby boomers to die out, and then everything will be okay. And I'm like, that's a lot of people half my age, with infected with this bullshit. Christian nationalist youth group. That's super fucking creepy. Josh Alexander, founder of Save Canada, was a lead organizer of the controversial rally targeting Ottawa area schools in June, alongside an anti-trans activist named Billboard Chris. Josh Alexander. Will Stanton, I see you wrote Jason Alexander, and I was very confused for a second. Isn't that the guy from Seinfeld? So, yeah, there will be an attempt at the Million Man March. Stay tuned for more details. Save Canada leader receives legal support from a right-wing evangelical group called Liberty Coalition Canada. A recent CBC news investigation revealed Liberty Coalition Canada is currently seeking $1.3 million to recruit hundreds of fundamentalist Christians to run for office at all levels of government with the goal of calibrating the laws to align with biblical principles. Alexander and Billboard Chris both appeared at a secret closed-door meeting at Toronto's elite Albany Club, attended by prominent Canadian conservatives 2 months earlier, where they promoted the rally targeting Ottawa schools. This is from June. Organizers of a far-right rally targeting Ottawa schools attended secret meetings at Toronto's elite Albany Club. Again, press progress. Phenomenal journalism here. Another march organizer, former People's Party candidate Data Metcalf, was charged with criminal harassment earlier this month in connection to a surprise convoy targeting the private residence of Newfoundland and Labrador Premier Andrew Furey this summer. Metcalf's group, Family Freedom, it's always Family or Freedom or something, the American Freedom Foundation or the Family of Freedom Coalition, something stupid. It's always this. Take Back Alberta is another org who is planning to take over all levels of government, including school boards. Has since had a falling out with other organizers, is now promoting the march under a separate brand. So who is helping promote the marches? In addition to these main organizers, the 1 Million March for Children has also received support from a number of far-right groups and online influencers. Veterans for Freedom, a far-right convoy group that counts former Newfoundland Premier Brianne Peckford as an advisor, has received support from Freedom Convoy leader Tom Marazzo and played a key role in organizing James Topp's march to Ottawa on Canada Day 2022 and was joined by conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. Pierre Poilievre is probably going to be our next prime minister. The group has also partnered with a number of anti-public health and anti-vaccine groups that has been vocal in supporting Save Canada in an extremist online community called Diagolon. Yeah, like this bullshit packaging of like Veterans for Freedom. It's like, well, that sounds like a right-wing psychopath. And they're like, whoa, you hate veterans? And it's supposed to trick liberals into supporting them, or at least staying out of their way. The group is also partnered with a number of anti-public health and anti-vaccine groups. Oh, there's a shock. And has been vocal in supporting Save Canada and an extremist online community called Diagolon. Again, all this shit started with things like we had... it started off with there's Facebook groups called Ontario Proud and Canada Proud. And I'm like, this seems suspicious. And I've had friends who I've thought knew better reposting some of their stuff. And it was very like subtle criticisms and dog whistles is what it was full of. And I'm like, this is bad. These guys really should not be on social media. Veteran worship is a huge problem in the U.S. and I imagine the same is true in Canada. Yeah, they really try hard to get you to support the troops in Canada. We support Nazi veterans like you would not imagine here. We don't care what kind of veteran you are, as long as you're a veteran. Except if you're a veteran of Afghanistan, then we can't help you. And veterans are asking for too much, and they should just go starve to death. Multiple organizers of the 1 Million March for Children have done live stream interviews with Veterans for Freedom Atlantic Canada Representative Jeff Evely. I just want to add to this, Marazzo is a member of Veterans for Freedom, and he believes society is in a cultural war divided along these lines. Yeah, so these people, they just, this just charts and red string, all this shit just lives in their heads. Meanwhile, trans kids are just trying to survive. The event has been promoted by right-wing alternative media sources like Rebel Media, True North, and Post Millennial, as well as fringe sources like Convoy live streamer Chris Dacey and convicted criminal Kevin J. Johnson. The march has also been endorsed by a number of hardline social conservative groups and influencers, including Take Back Alberta, shout out Will Santon for calling them out, For My Canada, Laura Lynn, Tyler Thompson, and the anti-abortion group Campaign Life. Okay, yeah, so let's throw in some anti-abortion in there. Again, these are massive coalitions and massive news media, which shows that, like, obviously we're not going to copy their politics, but their tactics are admittedly, now again, you do not have to you do not under any circumstances got to hand it to them. But these are the tactics that the left should be doing, is forming independent left-wing media sources, our own newspapers, because again, small town newspapers are getting shut down left and right, and massive coalitions with each other. Nazi war criminals get standing ovations in Parliament, but Jess LaRochelle can't get a posthumous Victoria Cross. Yeah, I'm not sure who Jess LaRochelle is. And yeah, anything that's anti-lib, people just blindly repost it, not realizing what the underlying shit is. The thing is though, like, there's very little anti-liberal stuff that gets reposted that's actually criticizing Trudeau from the left. There's almost nothing from the NDP, certainly, because we have to support them until 2026, as was the deal that they gave them in exchange for means-tested dental for kids under 12. So again, there is no left party in Canada.
He died like a dog. He died like a coward.
Yeah, exactly. There is no current left political party that can provide any answers to this. And that's the problem. On Tuesday, CLC President Jeff Gunnarsson, man, that's an awesome name. I admit, someone's last name is Gunnarsson, issued a statement directing its supporters to attend the marches to protest the nonstop LGBT brainwashing and stop the classroom sexualization of children. Next sign I make, it's going to say something like, I wish these trans women would stop shoving their deliciously decadent, sinful behavior down my throat. March organizers have been promoting events in cities and towns across the country, with promotional posters advertising a variety of locations for marches ranging from legislatures and city halls to schools, school boards, and teacher union buildings. The Hands Off Our Kids website is promoting 36 separate million-person marches, while the competing Freedom Family website lists an additional 101 million-person marches, although some overlap, and it is unclear how well organized all of these events truly are. The Canadian Anti-Hate Network cautions that the situation is fluid, and a number of marches planned in some towns and cities appear to have little to no on-the-ground support. It's difficult to know exactly how organized the on-the-ground rallies and marches will be. We have seen posters advertising marches and rallies in various cities, but no discernible local organizers behind them. Some cities have multiple posters advertising more than one rally or march, leading to confusion among the movement's supporters, Simmons noted. We've documented social media pages associated with the 1 Million March for Children and Hands Off Our Kids, asking people to come forward if they are the organizers. So yeah, there ended up being two separate events in Hamilton, one at City Hall and one at the school board. The school board one being the main one and the biggest one, and one of the more violent ones. Although apparently I heard rocks got thrown at City Hall. I merely just got hit with a water bottle. Despite the somewhat disorganized nature of the protest, the impact could be big, Simon said, noting that if some communities have low turnouts, dozens of planned protests across Canada could make it appear that there is outsized support for stripping rights away from 2S LGBTQ plus people. In Toronto, Save Canada's Josh Alexander and Billboard Chris, the two ringleaders of the June rally targeting schools in Canada, are staging another rally targeting Victoria Park Collegiate and Annunciation Catholic School. Meanwhile, because the Catholic teachers also came out in support of trans kids, believe it or not. Because again, they're unionized. Meanwhile, another group is planning a mini convoy targeting the Alberta Teachers Association headquarters in Edmonton. That event is being organized by Benita Peterson, a far-right activist who has organized protests against rainbow crosswalks. Oh my God, really? That's the hill you're going to die on, protesting against rainbow crosswalks? Organized protests outside hospitals and children's vaccine clinics, and an early promoter of the Freedom Convoy is also the lead organizer with the group Take Back Alberta. These people are so fucking unhinged. It's unbelievable. I cannot describe like the brainworms behind these people. Children's vaccine clinics, imagine. These rallies shouldn't be looked at in a vacuum, but as part of the larger movement, which has already seen legislation against trans and non-binary students in 2 provinces. Yeah, these people are not going to stop. There's massive organization and coalitions building among the far right. So what do we do, right? What ended up happening? How do we fight back against this? Credit to the best of their ability, the labor leaders. So once this was really solidified and confirmed, these guys have been planning this shit for months. And we had 9 days to organize a counter protest. Labor unions are taking significant steps to mobilize members to outnumber and overshadow ultra-conservative forces in the streets, with 18 separate counter-marches planned around the province. On Tuesday, the Ontario Federation of Labor issued...
He died like a dog.
Thanks.
He died like a coward.
Where was I? They issued a release stating that in response to the so-called million-person March for Children, notice they're using the word person, that's gender neutral, good for them for using the correct pronouns. The Ontario Federation of Labor, the OFL, affiliated unions along with labor councils are joining with community organizations to plan.
Our enemies are all those in league with imperialism, the bureaucrats, the big landlord class, and the reactionary section of the intelligentsia attached to them.
Will Sandin with 3 months. Thank you so much. Prime Gaming. I know you'll get one of those, and I really appreciate you spending it here. So the OFL fought back. Affiliated unions, labor councils joining with community organizations to plan province-wide events in solidarity and support of the 2S LGBTQIA plus community. Contrary to the public messaging, the million-person March for Children is not focused on safeguarding children. It never was. Rather, the true intent of organizers is to protest the inclusion of all 2S LGBTQIA plus content in schools, foment fear, and divide working people for their own political purposes. We will not let them spread this vitriol. Similarly, Public Service Alliance of Canada is calling on members and allies to join union members, leaders, and allies at one of the many grassroots counter-protests being organized in communities where protests are scheduled to be held. While these groups claim to be in support of parental rights, the protests are actually anti-2S LGBTQIA plus hate rallies, which aim to eliminate sexual orientation and gender identity, SOGI, curriculum and policies from Canadian schools, PSAC states. Meanwhile, community groups like Community Solidarity Ottawa have prepared safety plans for participants to avoid provocations, harassment, and other tactics used by far-right activists, as well as live streamers and pseudo-journalists known to target these events. So, how did this turn out? Several hundred people in Hamilton, protesters and counter-protests, marched Wednesday morning, chanting and holding signs focused on gender identity in schools. A group of protesters first gathered outside the CF Limeridge Mall and walked to the nearby headquarters of Hamilton Wentworth District School Board. They carried signs that said, "Hands off our kids," and I belong to my parents. Right. Because these parents view their children as property, not as individuals. And I want to make this clear. No, as parents, you do not have parental rights. You have parental responsibilities. Your child has rights. I want to make that very fucking clear. They passed by counter-protesters lining the streets, waving rainbow flags, holding up signs that said trans kids matter and education must be trans inclusive. Yeah, this is not at all. This person's what flag is this? I saw some weird flags in the crowd. There was like a Croatian flag at one point for some reason. Dutch flag for some reason. Okay, sure. There was the Christian fascist flag. Yeah, a lot of kids on the other side, which was like terrifying. A lot of Canadian flags. Again, these are all the Freedom Convoy dipshits. Dutch Farmer Solidarity, maybe. I don't know if these guys' brains function that high, to be honest. The initial protests were organized under the banner of 1 Million March for Children, with the group's website saying its intent to protect our children from indoctrination and sexualization. So yes, leave our kids alone, stop sexualizing our kids. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Parents drag their kids to Ottawa during that dumb takeover. Yeah. So they're saying, again, they're falling for this bullshit of like, teach them maths, physics. Let them decide once they become an adult. High school student, and we'll get into why that's dumb. And I don't know, like the failure of messaging or something. Somebody missed a memo. I believe everything I've learned about LGBTQ rights and issues has not been from school. It's been my own searching, my own research. It's time they stop pushing their wrong interpretations. Teaching biology. Yeah, imagine that. Teaching them biology. There's an interesting sign in the background. Do you guys see that? Does that look familiar? Workers of the world unite against hate. Counter-protester Petra Visatiki, also 16, said she heard hateful things being said about the LGBTQ community at the protest, which is damaging to her and her peers. Say you happen to be queer, you see all these things about how it's wrong, how it's immoral, and now you think that it's you that's wrong as a person, she said. It's so disheartening. Everybody deserves to live a happy and carefree life. That is the rights a child has. A child has a right to be educated. A child has a right to a safe space, and a right to their own individuality. They are not their parents' property. At times, there are heated interactions between people from different sides yelling at one another, and at least one physical altercation. I was here for this. This was about. I was a few feet back from this.
Stand up, fight back!
Make a little bit of room. Make a little bit of room.
Stand up, fight back!
Went right for his throat. He's just standing there with his arms crossed. He nearly got choked out. But yeah, by all means, go on about how there's violence on both sides. Oops. Does that look familiar? See that sign? See this guy, the big handsome guy with the sign there? One of the strategies was to play copyrighted music on speakers, so none of these folks could post this stuff to social media. I don't know how well it worked. I don't really know. Anyway, yeah, so these people are fucking unhinged. I think they should check their hard drives. Where's the... I gotta find that one story. Give me one sec. There was this one story about... it was a few months ago. About... it was like some underage student girls like track meet, and there was like some fucking lunatic in the crowd that just kept yelling. Like there was a girl with a short haircut, and some guy was screaming from the crowd that that kid is a boy, and they're trying to like they want to inspect their kids' genitals. You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah, this is it.
Subject a child to this kind of harassment, it's really horrifying.
My daughter was so shaken up. Like, she has gay parents. She's had trans coaches. She's got a trans cousin. It's the first time she's ever seen anything like that.
Parents of a 9-year-old are calling out a couple who they say accused their daughter of being transgender at an elementary school track meet in Kelowna. Last Thursday, Heidi Starr says her daughter was about to throw shot put for her final event of the day when a man stopped the competition.
This is supposed to be girls. Why are there boys throwing? He points at my daughter and he points at another girl in line with short hair. At which point I stepped forward and I said, "Excuse me, are you talking about my child? Because my child is a girl." And he says, "Oh, a girl, right? A girl." And says, "If they're not boys, then they're trans."
She says he then demanded to see some kind of certification to prove Starr's child was a girl, while the man's partner also spewed transphobic comments.
The girls and women who are a little bit gender nonconforming or who are particularly good at sport, who in some way look muscular or something, they're going to be scrutinized even more than normal.
Travers, a sociology professor at Simon Fraser University, says right now there's an organized movement pushing trans people out of public spaces, and it affects cisgender people too.
There are more people who are becoming emboldened, who are being encouraged to drive trans kids out of sports, to drive trans kids really out of existence. And those kinds of campaigns have a negative impact on girls and women, cisgender as well as trans. As we can see, this is a perfect example.
Starr says track meet organizers eventually escorted the disruptive couple to their car. In a statement, Kevin Cardall with Central Okanagan Public Schools says in part, "The person who accosted the student and family was not from one of our Central Okanagan Public Schools. In response, the district worked with other local schools to confirm the identity of the person and take steps to formally ban them from any district property or events."
So
Starr says even
he wasn't even from that district. What's he doing there watching underage girls play track?
If her child were trans, she would be able to compete.
She welcomes any trans child to compete with her. She understands trans girls are girls, trans boys are boys. This rhetoric is all opinions of adults, and it's emboldening people to attack our children, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Starr says her child is turning 10 on Thursday and has an emotional intelligence beyond her years.
I pointed out to her that this story is getting pretty big. She says, "You know what?" She said, "I feel like this happened so that the story could go viral for a birthday gift so that I could see change."
In Vancouver, Kier Junos, City News.
Man, some of these kids, I swear to God, they could lift cars. They're so much fucking bigger and stronger than I am, like in so many ways. That's unbelievable. I really think I would have gotten that ribbon if that man hadn't yelled at me. Anyway, this is the kind of shit that they're advocating. Oh yeah, here's that cool guy again. This is what they're... Where did I put it? I just had it. Here we go. Florida lawmaker passes bill that legalizes teen genital inspections. You know, these guys walk around with signs that says hands off our children. That everyone's a pedophile and a fucking groomer and a molester. Well, then what the fuck is this? Like, nothing makes any sense. Transphobic bill calls for genital inspections in cases where a girl's gender is challenged. Specifically says girl's gender is challenged. Yeah, fascists want to see your bits. Oh yeah, also on the right-hand side here, Dianne Feinstein, R.I.P. Queen. Like, it's like they're losing. I don't know. I feel like I'm losing fucking. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because none of this makes any sense. I mean, like in a way it does. Like you know, every accusation is a confession, right? She had 2 terms left in her, yeah. Where were we? Anyway, yeah, I firmly believe a lot of this is like, because one of the biggest things about sex education is teaching children boundaries, how their body works, and consent. And I'm deeply suspicious of people who are opposed to teaching children that. Because those are the most powerful tools children have that keeps them from getting trafficked or abused, taken advantage of. You know, I have a coworker who talks about being groomed by her uncle and how this shit, like, and this shit, like, it's so disturbing. It's so fucking disturbing. Like, man, some of the people I march with and work with and talk to, like, I have a level of strength that, like, I don't know. I hope I can achieve one of these days. It's unreal. Like, I was the tallest guy in the crowd, and I'm still, like, hiding in the back, going, "Please don't hurt me." These people are, like, just so insane. Anyway, yeah, there's a pretty cool sign right here. Right. So so what's actually happening here? Hang on. The stated themes of Wednesday's hate-filled protest from their website are the following: parental rights in public K through 12 education and strict enforcement of related policies in our children's schools. We call on any such legislation to be protected by the Notwithstanding Clause, Section 33 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, to ensure protection from frivolous legal actions. Gender ideology in the K-12 education curriculum. So they want nothing. They want none of this taught. It's not even like, well, children are too young to be learning about this. It's like, no, they want nothing. It's K through 12. You know how old you are in grade 12? Like 17, 18 years old? And they want nothing taught to these kids. Age inappropriate sexual content in school libraries that doesn't really exist. Woke ideology, which promotes animosity, division, ultimately hate in our schools and communities. No, it doesn't. The only hate I'm seeing is from these lunatics whipping water bottles at me. We call for a ban on so-called medical gender-affirming care for minors under the age of 18, which is basically genocide. Children do not have the brain development, maturity, wisdom, or life experience to fully appreciate the long-term consequences of puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, surgical procedures designed to emulate the appearance of the opposite sex. Again, they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. We call for a national referendum on the removal of gender identity and gender expression from the federal and provincial human rights codes. These are ideological constructs and not human rights. Canadians deserve a chance to decide whether we want an ideological or biological definition of gender to be instantiated in Canadian law. It won't stop with LGBTQ plus people, Cupcake Star says. Yeah, who's next? Yeah, honestly, seriously, Muslims are next. Like, or women, or like women's rights. Like, a lot of these folks are anti-abortion as well. Like it won't stop here. It starts here. It won't stop. You know, as someone posted that meme recently, it's like, first I came for the transgender people, and I spoke out immediately because I read the rest of the fucking poem. Okay, so what's actually going on, right? And so for those of us who might be a little behind, I know I am, on what gender affirming care actually looks like, this is from a trans parent who has a trans child. No, children are not being mutilated by trans affirming care. If you're being told this, you're being lied to. Let me explain how affirming trans kids usually looks. Number one, a child or teen comes out as trans. Their parents take them to their doctor, who will usually refer them to a team of specialists at a gender identity clinic. These are usually inside hospitals and involve mental health professionals, endocrinologists, which are hormone specialists, and nurses. Okay. Right, so now there's professionals involved. Number two, the team will perform an assessment that involves sessions with the child and their caregivers. These assessments are very thorough. They examine both the possibility of gender dysphoria and any accompanying mental health issues like anxiety and depression, which are common in people experiencing untreated gender dysphoria. It's hard to live with that level of self-incongruence every day. If gender dysphoria is found to be the case, the team takes several things into consideration, including a child's age, level of support they receive from those around them, and what has already been done outside of medical care to alleviate that dysphoria. So, yeah, like gender dysphoria, if gone untreated, can be deadly. It literally results in kids being killed by suicide because of neglect. If a child is prepubescent, there is no need for any medical treatment. Young children will often socially transition to some extent, and that's it. This could include everything from dressing in ways that are more comfortable to them and using a new name and pronouns. And this next sentence is written in all caps. No surgeries are performed on young children, no hormones are administered. These common misconceptions drive a lot of anti-trans sentiment. Prepubescent children are not given puberty blockers. No one is performing surgeries on children. Like it doesn't exist. And so like they're mad at nothing. When a child reaches puberty or is in puberty at the time they are found to be dysphoric, puberty blockers may be administered. These have been in use in young people for decades. As far as I know, puberty blockers have been around since the 70s. And they weren't originally for trans kids. They're not just for trans kids, but they're for cis kids with precocious or early puberty, right? Any child who starts to experience puberty under the age of 12 will sometimes be put on puberty blockers. They are perfectly harmless, and they've been tested for like 50 years. There's no reason to yeah, exactly, Cupcake Star. There's no reason to prescribe puberty blockers to a person not going through puberty. They've been rigorously tested, and any potential side effects are closely monitored. The biggest concern is bone density loss, and so endocrinologists will usually prescribe vitamin D and calcium to counter this. They've been tested since 1920. Wow, I didn't know that. Puberty blockers simply hit the pause button, and they allow for some time where unwanted changes to the body aren't happening. They are fully reversible. We know this because children with precocious puberty will take them for a while, stop taking them, and then go through a natural puberty. Nazis burned the research. Well, gee, don't we have a fucking connection now, don't we? That's a great transition to the next topic. That long? Why does it seem like we still know little or something? Oh, that's why. Yeah. Yeah, Nazis burned all the research. Great job, Hitler. Thanks, Hitler. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. Studies show very few kids who are seen at gender identity clinics step off puberty blockers. And these kids tend to know who they are. When they do stop taking them, they experience their natural puberty too. After a time, a trans teen on puberty blockers will begin hormone replacement therapy, or HRT. So again, this is all monitored by professionals, people who know what they're doing. Not you, the parent. You are not a doctor. Why can't they wait till they're 18? A, because a growing body needs hormones of some kind, so remaining on blockers indefinitely can cause harm. And B, because if we deny blockers until adulthood, the body goes through puberty in what the child strongly believes is the wrong direction, causing many irreversible changes and often leads to intense depression, suicidality. HRT is the first step in a trans person's medical care that is not entirely reversible. However, there are two important things to note. A, teens generally have a good while on blockers before they start HRT. It is not a quick process. And B, doctors administer these hormones at slow, incremental doses, and changes happen over years, not overnight. Anecdotally, so this is this person who wrote this, anecdotally, my own trans child only had their estrogen bumped up every 6 months. This gives plenty of time to potentially hit the brakes and reverse course. Ooh, Will Stanton coming through with an interesting article. The Forgotten History of the World's First Trans Clinic. Maybe we'll check that out after this for a palate cleanser. So again, those of you in the chat wondering, like, are we the crazy ones? Like, why are so many people coming out against trans people? No, you're not the crazy ones. Like, there is a process to this, and I will stand, even though we are in the minority. It felt like I will stand wholeheartedly and uncompromising solidarity with all my trans comrades. Right? I cannot stress that enough. Well, this is not a palate cleanser. I know. I'm sorry. Okay, so yeah, hormones are administered in slow incremental doses, and this gives plenty of time to hit the brakes. And a big sticking point for a lot of people is surgery, right? They oppose gender transition in minors. And there's a few things to consider here. In terms of surgery, because, like, again, these people are talking about how we're castrating little boys, little 5-year-olds. Not all trans people need or want surgery. For those who do, most trans teens don't have access to them until adulthood. Of those who do, only very limited procedures are available to them. And once again, no young children are having surgery or being mutilated. An important thing I want progressive people who are concerned about trans teens giving consent to gender-affirming care to consider. The laws allowing trans teens to give medical consent are the same laws that allow all teens in that part of the world to give consent to any medical care. This could include birth control, abortion, cancer treatments, and other critical care that affects their body autonomy. It's a slippery slope to try and remove this out of concern. But what if a trans kid regrets their decision to transition? Studies show that fewer than 1% of trans people experience any kind of regret after undergoing gender-affirming care. It's a extraordinarily low number by medical standards. Lower still is the number of people who once believed they were trans and now don't feel that way. The numbers don't lie. This is the only proven treatment, and it works well for nearly everyone of all ages. I hope this helps shed some light on what is an often misunderstood and misrepresented population. Trans kids deserve our understanding and our protection. And by protection, I mean ensuring they have access to the care that is proven to help them. Let's make sure we keep fighting for them. And it's signed, "Thank you," from a trans person and the parent of a trans kid. Anyway, yeah. So I hope that helps clear things up a bit. I have an earlier article, "The Science of Biological Sex." It was really, really good. I highly recommend you guys go check this out. Maybe we'll read it on stream, but this one's pretty useful too. Is when they talk about, homosexuality and trans people, it's not biological. It's not based on reality. It's like, well, actually, you know what? It might actually be. Cupcake Star says, when you talk to your doctor about getting bottom surgery, you have to put up with a barrage of questions being asked over and over again to make absolutely sure this is what you actually want. Yeah. Yeah, it's probably a very invasive and annoying procedure to have to go through in order to get there. Yeah, I want these protesters to let me know what doctors are just handing out surgeries. Handing them out like peanuts at a ball game. This is a really cool article. Maybe we'll go over this. And again, the people who are obsessed with children's genitals are people like the guy at the Kelowna track meet who are the weirdos trying to pass laws like one sec. People passing laws like this. Florida lawmakers passed bill that legalizes teen genital inspections, and the guy at the Kelowna track meet here, who harassed a small child because he was convinced that this person was not actually a girl. Gorozola, my neighbor just sent me the following text. Oh goody. I can't wait. Gorozola, I see you have a Prime Prime sub there. Were you planning on saving that for somebody? Gorozola says, "Hi Alan, we are having our friends coming with their trailers this weekend. Our friend was a vet for 40 years. He has been fighting for Canadians for years. He never fought for me, that's for sure. He does seminars for freedom fighters. The Bancroft freedom fighters found out that he was coming, and so they asked him to speak tomorrow. We are having around 25 people coming tomorrow at 2 p.m. If you want to get to know the people in Bancroft who are like-minded, you are more than welcome to come. If you're interested, it will be fun." Check their hard drives. Yeah, exactly, Cupcake Star. That's exactly it. Why do these freaks want to see naked little girls so badly? To inspect their genitals just in case they're boys. Like, really? Is that why? Are you sure? No, I again, this is one of those things. Every accusation is a confession. I'm fucking dead certain of it. Gorzola joined me at the protest. Had a great sign. Gorzola, without your permission, I'm gonna post your sign. Where the hell are you? Oh, it looks like a government shutdown in the U.S. is coming. That's fine. Why does Discord do the first letter of someone's username and then ... Why does Discord do that? It's so weird. Oh, right. Okay, so what's a great way to follow up this massive movement in Hamilton? What better way to protect children? Shit, I should have had this open. I'm sorry. What better way to make sure children are protected than calling in some bomb threats to the district school board? So, for 4 or 5 days in a row following the protests, there was a bunch of schools in my town that got bomb threats called in on them.
Tonight, with more evacuations at Hamilton schools following reports of potential bomb threats. Today, 4 schools had to clear their buildings because of the scare, including a third evacuation at Nora Francis Henderson High School. Jason Gaidola joined us live at the East Mountain School this evening with more. Good evening, Jason.
Yeah, good evening, Taz. A frustrating day for faculty and especially students exiting Nora Francis School this afternoon after being evacuated for the 3rd day in a row. And the Hamilton Wentworth District School Board say that other evacuations were happened at Saltfleet District High School, Highview Elementary, and Mount Albion School as well. They tell us that Hamilton police were notified about all the threats today, and they did attend the scenes to inspect the area. This afternoon, officers closed off the road here at Nora Francis. Students tell me that they exited the building sometime after 1 o'clock, but remained on school grounds. Officers cleared the area 20 minutes after a search inside and around the school. Hamilton police confirmed that they haven't found anything suspicious at the schools and continue to look into the origin of the bomb threats, which could include laying the appropriate charges if that is successful. Now, students at Saltfleet, Mount Albion, and Highview, again, once evacuated and their schools were cleared, they were allowed to re-enter their buildings. The Hamilton Public Board says that they do take these threats seriously, no matter what the nature is, and they say families can expect more information soon. But as of right now, it's still unclear if all of these potential threats were connected or if they were just isolated incidents. But for now, we'll take it back to you, Tess.
So anyway, yeah, nothing.
This is a vinyl record.
Oh my God, Linus, not now. How do I use my subs? You hit subscribe and then you have to scroll down to the bottom and there's a check mark. There's a checkbox that says use Prime sub. And then you can subscribe to my channel for free and then I get money. Anyway, so yeah, we're extremely worried about indoctrination. Obviously, indoctrinating children into the gender ideology. And yeah, so here's YYC. Where is that? Is that Toronto? Yeah, anyway, we're scared of, teaching kids things they don't understand. Meanwhile, this kid spoke at a rally. YYC, I think, it's Calgary. So this is in Calgary.
And tell them what we want them to be. We listen to them. They tell us what they want to be. Not whatever those guys accuse us of. What do you like to say?
I'd like to say that the gays are psychopaths and we're not psychopaths.
No, that's not true.
One more thing to say.
No, that's not good.
The gays, they are disgusting.
Thunderous applause.
Just impose them in.
Anyway, yeah. So when people ask, like, how did you allow Hitler come to power? Like, we see now, like, look how easy it is. Yeah, gender ideology is real. Sadly, you've been sucked into it. You have no ability to see the damage done to you, is what this person says. Pastor Antifa. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Pastor Antifa posted a bunch of these. I should shoot them a follow. Oh, let's go. Here's a baseline someone put on an overpass. White Lives Matter are Nazi trash. Hell yeah. Oh, okay, we're stepping it up a bit now. Billion person march against Satan. Leave the kids alone sounds like hate to you. You are the one we are protecting them from. It's like, all right, cool. Let's up the ante here. 338 members. Oh, don't we love it, folks? Oh, you know, it's nice to find like just some of these people are so dumb and so unhinged that like they just do shit like this, and it's just at least it provides a little bit of brevity, a little bit of not brevity, levity. That's the word. Duh. God, these people are so nuts. Pride goeth before destruction. Yo, bro, why are you walking around with this with a shirt that says this? This is nuts. I will say though, it's always really cute when couples dress the same. Gazillion march against the Big Bang. Yeah, someone was waving this flag at us in Hamilton. Oh, someone tore down a free little library and burned it. That's cool. Burning books definitely does not make you look unhinged or look like a fascist. But again, these people don't give a shit. That was Calgary gang. Well, Calgary seems... Oh, yeah, there's a statement by the Muslim Association of Canada. Completely erases queer Muslims. They're talking about how there's so much Islamophobia being drummed up over this. Woe is me. See the neckbeard carrying the "Don't Tread on Me" flag. Yeah, my other favorite one was they took a very expensive looking vinyl banner. It was big. It was a big banner, and I don't remember what the hell the banner actually said, but you can clearly see the word lockdown was covered up, and they put LGBTQ instead. So it's all the same people. It's the same people as same clowns as the lockdown convoy morons. Yeah, if your hatred of gays gets you to climb in bed with fascists and others who would gladly see you dead, you need help. Yeah. Anyway, plenty of Muslims are really outraged by this statement. I made friends with a trans Muslim man. Broke my heart when they pointed out that they had siblings on the other side of the line, yelling at us, calling us groomers, calling us pedophiles. It was fucking unbelievable, man. Like, the only solace that I have is is really the fact that Hamilton is one of the few cities across the country. Hamilton's one of the few cities that we were outnumbered by protesters. Toronto, it was reversed. It was like 10-1 of our comrades came out, so that's cool. What the fuck? There's lots of Confederate flags in Bancroft. That's so weird. Irony is all these bubbas are trying to hard to pose as libertarians, and they literally call the cops the second someone does something they don't like. They would love nothing more than to privatize libertarians. What is this? Arrest reported in okay, let's see what this says.
I'm here at one of the protests over LGBTQ rights.
Why is it filmed like this,
It's called
CBC?
the 1 Million March for Children. Today, all over Canada, groups are protesting LGBTQ inclusive policies in schools. But people protesting for LGBTQ rights in schools are also showing up in large numbers. And there's a large police presence here today.
I'm here to support children's rights to be children and parents' rights to be responsible for their own children.
Because I'm a parent, I think parental choice is very important, and I think that should be the most precious thing that we should keep.
Today, thousands of people were holding signs, chanting, and kids were given the microphone to speak.
Oh my God.
Many of the signs said, "Leave our kids alone" or "Stop indoctrination." No! Some of these protests are happening under the banner of parental rights. But critics and researchers say the term isn't accurate because it doesn't address the concerns of LGBTQ parents or parents with LGBTQ children. Policies around gender identity and sexual orientation have been a top issue in US politics, but they aren't new in Canada either. In New Brunswick and Saskatchewan, if a student under 16 wants to change their preferred pronouns or name at school, parental consent is required. I spoke to someone today protesting for LGBTQ rights who was concerned about these policies. And what are you here marching for today?
Really, I'm just marching, trying to demonstrate my support against these kinds of policies. They're supporting school policies that are dangerous for US LGBTQIA kids, especially trans, policies that force schools to out these kids to their parents. It can be dangerous for them in their home lives.
Like a lot of people that are here, I myself went through a process of coming to terms with who you are in an environment or in a family that tells you who you should be and that you know from a very early age that you don't fit into. So for people like me, it's important to let other kids that were like me know that there is a safe place for them and that what they're feeling is valid.
It's unclear for how long the protests will continue across the country, but after more than 4 hours, things have tapered off here.
Fuck, it was so exhausting. Yeah, Ottawa probably got pretty intense. Yeah, they're really trying to portray it as like a both sides thing, it seems. And when you portray both sides, try to say something as both sides. And when one side is calling for genocide, then you are on the side of the genociders. Man, I'm trying to find pictures of the Toronto crowd. Damn it. Anyway, we had some comrades show up to Toronto, and they said the crowd was just huge. It was outstanding. Will Stanton, did you want to hop on voice chat by any chance? I know we talked about this earlier. But yeah, something to bear in mind too. Every accusation and confession. Sound of Freedom funder. So this is one of the guys that donated to the funding for Sound of Freedom. Fabian Marta arrested for child kidnapping. Sound of Freedom producer held on alleged underage trafficking. Underage trafficking victim. He was fondling their breasts. Another person connected with the sex trafficking thriller Sound of Freedom. So that's two people now connected to Sound of Freedom who are involved in like child trafficking. So that's cool. That's who we're dealing with here. Once again, please check out sciencebasedmedicine.org. Very, very good article. Dead message. Would you care to provide a link? Because churches have an unbelievable history of abuse, not just of current underage kids today, but historically of the incredible genocide perpetrated against indigenous people. Most of the high-profile people in this thing are sex pests of some sort. Yeah, it's not at all shocking. And let's say it does happen at school sometimes. What happens? The teacher gets fucking fired. And the rest of the teachers work their asses off to ensure that, kids get the... kids get the actual care and therapy and to ensure that the mental health of the children is priority. Google.com. Okay, let's check this out. All right, well, the link doesn't seem to work. It's a long link to a Word doc. Oh, okay, so not a source. Cool. Oh, yeah, anyway. So, you may have heard about, what's her name? I think her name is Kayla Lemieux. Basically a trans teacher who wore a costume to school on Halloween once with big boobs. Okay, this is inappropriate, probably. Prosthetic Z-cups. Okay, poor taste. And this person got transferred from their school. And they came to my hometown. And this is what they look like now. So yeah, you guys won. This trans person has to go back under disguise now. And the school that they got hired at is now undergoing bomb threats, because nothing protects children like calling in bomb threats. So that's cool. It's good. I think that was a troll. I mean, they arrested one kid. They arrested a 13-year-old boy. Police released the emails at some point. Let me try and find the emails. It's important to bomb children early to minimize loss of investment. Oh, damn it. I mean, okay, maybe I don't have it. Hey, can you hear me? Mic check. Let's double check, make sure the volume's thing's not on my end. Okay, should be good to go. Will Santon, go ahead. Are you talking? Okay, we're gonna keep looking for yeah. Someone emailed the school board and said a whole bunch of hateful shit. Right. So the Oakville school was threatened with violence. So this was literally day of, and like the following 4 days was called into the school. 2022, schools in nearby Hamilton faced at least 23 shooting or bombing threats. Wow. Some of those charged were teens. Okay, that's cool, kids. One of them shortly after Uvalde, Texas. All right, class act. Keep it classy. All right. Will Stanton, where are you? Your mic is muted, just so you know.
Can you hear me?
Yep, there you are. Yeah, go ahead. Is this gonna be like troubleshooting with troubleshooting with Chris on Fridays like we usually do. Fortunately, Chris couldn't make it tonight, so we didn't have to spend an hour trying to fix his microphone.
Conscript reporting.
Dead Message has followed the channel. Welcome. Thank you for the follow, but I have a feeling this might not go well. Oh my god, I'm so thirsty. I barely drank water all day, working out on the hot sun, and then I came home and got like the saltiest pizza I could get my hands on, and now I'm just like I've almost like chugged this whole thing already. Gorozola says, I just think it's funny that these people will point out that yes, there are bad people among the LGBTQIA plus ally community, which is completely logical. Except that we fucking obliterate them when they're discovered. We don't protect them. We fucking boot the fuck out like they are Al Franken. But yeah, that's actually kind of funny. Al Franken was ousted because he was probably a more left lib than Chuck Schumer was comfortable with, and that was the perfect opportunity to like get rid of him. Because there's plenty of worse Democrats that are still on like committee seats right now. So I'm starting to think that was the whole point of getting rid of Al Franken. But yeah, no, it's important to, we become stronger when we purge ourselves from fucking morons. So
hello, does this work?
yeah, I can hear you. Franken was a huggy guy and they booted him to cover their ass. Maybe. The Dead Message is a lib, largely hates communism and socialism, but that doesn't mean he exists in an echo chamber. Okay, cool. Well, stick around, get educated. Okay, so Will, can you hear me?
Do you want me to talk about what happened in Edmonton?
Yeah, start from the beginning. We'll just go back and forth. I can talk about exactly like the events as they unfolded. How did you find out about the event? Where was it held? Who was involved? Let's go through the who, what, where, why, how sort of thing. So yeah, just start off at the beginning of the day. Did you organize with a group, or was this through the Labor Council, or who did you organize with?
Sure. Well, I started by reaching out as I grew aware of what was happening. And I reached out to the Labor Council and a bunch of other leftists, and they kind of coalesced. It's really, really confusing because they weren't really well organized. But we pulled out about 500 people.
Okay, you cut off a little bit, but so it sounds like you got about 500 people.
Get into the crowd, but our black bloc defenders did a really good job of crowd security.
What is a black bloc crowd?
So yeah, that's basically it was kind of scary for me. I am not trans, but the level of hatred I experienced was unreal. It was it was just frightening
Oh, there you are.
to
Okay.
hear what people were training their kids to say.
Yeah.
And I think we're experiencing a lot of lag on our call here, but
Are you on Wi-Fi?
but I'll just wrap up with just saying that I was inspired by the people who came out. I am on Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was absolutely inspiring. I really felt like, I got to go home at the end of the day and continue my life basically uninterrupted. And for a couple of hours, I got to experience like a fraction of the hatred and bigotry that trans people have to deal with on a daily basis. And I certainly did not enjoy that. I don't go to these rallies because they're fun, right? We go because we have to, right? Because we're called upon it. So yeah, for me, so the march, the protest was scheduled for 11 a.m. We had planned to be there by 9 a.m. to try and show up, block the building, and scare them off. What we did not anticipate was they showed up at 6 a.m. in their pickup trucks, driving in circles around the building, honking their horns. They showed up very early and in massive numbers and vastly overwhelmed us. It was extremely unfortunate. We got outmaneuvered, but kudos, shout out to the Labor Council for putting together this counter protest. We only had a few days to do it, and I still think we put on a decent showing. I think for what little we had. I don't know. It's just it as a union worker, as a one of the OG union organizers of my own union, it really broke my heart to see members of the broader union that I'm a part of, like not in my local, but in my union in general. He's like a construction worker or something, just to see other people wearing my union colors on the other side, calling us groomers and pedophiles. It was horrendous to see, honestly. And so, like, sometimes I talk to my union steward and he's like, why do you go so hard on union leadership? I'm like, this is why. It's because our union leadership is not providing workers with the tools that they need, right? Of the history and experience of the labor movement and what it means, what solidarity actually means, right? What solidarity forever actually means. And that means standing with the most marginalized among us, And so what is our union doing to educate, organize, agitate the workers? Nothing. It's just sole focus on the next subpar collective bargaining agreement. And that's it. It's I don't know, complete failure of union leadership but at the same time, they potentially could have the strongest voice to come out. And next time we'll double or triple our numbers, I think. Yeah, he's up on the table. There's nothing there for him. So yeah, Food Not Bombs, the Edmonton District Labor Council, the AFL, CUPE, and more were there, along with religious leaders were on the counter-protest side. Anglican priests blessed the Black Bloc protesters. That's pretty cool. I think I'd be more. I think I would have been more inspired after that.
You're the most amazing guy. You're brilliant. You're handsome. You're rich.
So, yeah. Sometimes the internet sucks. That's okay though. The Bolsheviks organized a revolution without internet, and I'm sure we can figure it out. Okay, quick break, and we'll move on to an even dumber topic. Is Canada? I don't know if I haven't made this clear tonight. Canada has a bit of a Nazi problem that needs to be addressed. So we'll take a quick break. What do we got? There's so much 9/11 footage on here. It's ridiculous. There's no Nazis in Ukraine. Like, literally every photo. I mean, yeah, apparently in order to get funding and recognition by the Canadian government, apparently you just have to be a Nazi. Go drink water. You go drink water. Is this the one? No, that's not the one. This is the one. This is the one that I like. All right. I'll be right back, folks.
There's fascists in the White House, caught us by surprise. People all around the world are getting organized. You're bound to lose, you fascists bound to lose. People of every color working side by side in every town and city, breaking down the lies. They're smashing fascists, you fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose, bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose, bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose, you're bound to lose, you fascists bound to lose. Race hatred cannot stop us, this one thing we know. Ugliness, impunity, and greed have got to go. You're bound to lose, you fascists bound to lose. We're finding you at every step, won't stop until we throw you in the place where you belong. With your friends in tow, you're bound to lose, you fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose, bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose, bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose, you're bound to lose, you fascists bound to lose. People come from everywhere on buses, trains, and bikes. Gonna show them fascists we won't compromise in Washington. We'll shut you fascists down. Standing with our neighbors, union at our side. In the streets we're coming, billion people, why tear down that wall? You fascists bound to fall. All you fascists bound to lose, bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose, bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose, you're bound to lose, you fascists bound to lose. Our fight is never ending, just you wait and see. Revolutionary hearts and solidarity will bring you down, you fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose.